Welcome to week 2 of our rest and recovery series. Last week, Pastor Glenn taught us that it is a biblical command for us to obey the Sabbath and find time to rest. This week is Celebrate Recovery Week here, and so we're going to talk a little bit about how rest and restoration can apply to our recovery. And my title of this week's is Restoration for the Hopeless. Last week, Pastor Glenn had us read Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 through 30, that says, "Then Jesus said, 'Come to me, all you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, let me teach you, because I am humble and gentle at heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy to bear, and the burden I give you is light." And I want us to take a look at the thought about what a yoke is. A yoke it's a very heavy piece of wood that you would put around the shoulders of an oxen. And he would carry it all day, and it would be tied to a plow or a wagon that they would pull all day long. And it's amazing to me of how an ox is created, because together 2 trained oxen can pull 15,000 pounds, and they can do it all day and never grow weary and never grow tired. But we were not made that way. And some of us are carrying the weight of heavy burdens that are a result of our own actions, maybe the result of actions of others, things that were done to us. And we have hurts, we have hang-ups, and we have habits that are a result of those. And we just were not made to carry them for such a long time. And we have been carrying them a long time. And that may result in us becoming weary, as that verse says. If we become tired, and out of that weariness and tiredness, it may lead to a point of hopelessness. And what I want us to see this week is that we can always find hope, no matter the situation that we are in. I want you to take a second and read a story. It's Mark chapter 1, verse 40 through 45. And this is the story of the man who has leprosy that Jesus heals. And I want you to think about this. During this time, if the priest declared that you had leprosy, and during this time, they lumped a lot of diseases into the category of leprosy because they had no idea what any of the skin diseases were at that time. And if you were declared, if he said you had leprosy, you were thrown immediately into a hopeless situation, because what that meant is that you could no longer participate in society. You couldn't participate in religious activities. You couldn't hang out with your family because you had to go and live in an encampment outside of the city. So you were instantly thrown into a hopeless situation. But can you imagine, as the word began to spread about Jesus and what Jesus could do, how that all of a sudden this man who had no hope instantly had a little bit of hope, because he knew that if he could just get to the feet of Jesus, that the potential existed that Jesus would heal him and that his life would be restored to him. And so you see right there in that story where Jesus, he does something that nobody else would do. Jesus reaches out and he actually touches the man. Nobody else would have taken that chance to touch the man, because they would have been taking the risk of then being declared to be a leper, to have leprosy themselves. So we see that Jesus restores this man's hope, because now this man no longer has to live in a hopeless situation. So I want us to take a look at three things that we can do that, in no matter what situation we find ourselves in, can help us restore our hope. Number one is that we have to remember where our hope comes from. Psalm 62, verse 5 says, "Yes, my soul, find rest in God. My help comes from him. Truly, he is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will not be shaken." I want you to see one thing here. Now, this is David writing. It says that he's writing this during the Absalom rebellion. He's during a time where hope, where he may have been hard to find something to find hope in. But look what he does here. David tells his soul, he says, "Yes, my soul, find rest in God." It didn't matter what he saw. It didn't matter what was before him. He knew that he could find hope in God, because his hope did not depend upon what he saw. It didn't depend upon what he felt. His hope came from God and God alone. So listen, it doesn't matter what circumstance you may find yourself in today. It doesn't matter what hurt, what hang up, what habit you are dealing with. You can always find hope because our hope is not dependent upon our situation. It is not dependent upon our circumstance. As David tells us here, it is dependent upon God. And look, you may have to do exactly what David did there and tell your soul to take your eyes off the situation and focus on God, because that is where your help comes from. The second thing that we can do is we can remember who's fighting for us. 2 Chronicles 20:15 says, "This is what the Lord says. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged by this mighty army, for the battle is not yours, but God's." They were surrounded by enemy armies that were coming and that were attacking or about to be overtaken. And the Spirit spoke to a man there and told him that, hey, this battle is not yours. This battle is mine. And we have to remember that because of what Jesus did on the cross, we don't have to fight this fight anymore. Hope always exists because of what Jesus did for us on the cross. We just have to remember who is fighting for us and who has already fought the battle for us, and put our faith and our hope and our trust in him. The third thing that we can do is that that will help restore our hope is that we have to give hope away. Give hope away. If you take a look back at that story that I had you read in Mark chapter 1, verse 40, I want you to see after Jesus heals this man, he tells the man, now don't tell anyone. He says, don't tell anyone. He says, go to the priest and have the priest to declare that you are clean, and let that be your public testimony. But look what it says. It says, but the man went and spread the word, proclaiming to everyone what had happened. He says, as a result, large crowds soon surrounded Jesus, and he couldn't publicly enter the town anymore. He had to stay outside in the secluded places because people from everywhere kept coming to him. Do you see what that man did? In Celebrate Recovery, there's this phrase that we use, hope dealer. See, that man instantly became a hope dealer, a dealer of hope. Because Jesus had restored his hope, he couldn't contain it. Jesus told him not to tell anybody, and he couldn't contain it. He went and he ran to everyone that he could, and he shared the hope that had been given to him. Listen, that's the call that we have on our life. If Jesus and God has done anything incredible for you, if there's any situation that he has delivered you from and restored your hope in, what he wants us to do is now go and take that hope and share it with someone who may be in a hopeless situation. This week, in the grocery store, in Lowe's, wherever you may go, you might encounter someone. You never know what someone is going through, and you might encounter someone who needs hope. Be willing to do exactly what that man did and become a hope dealer and share that hope with someone so that they too can find restoration in their hopeless situation.